Greetings, fellow Gothamites. Bluedragonfive here.
And Rohith Dhar.
And it's Valentine's Day, guys. Yeah, we're gonna celebrate Valentine's Day. We already had kind of something that was kind of Valentine's Day adjacent with our peanuts debate, but it wasn't specifically Valentine's Day. It was just showing Charlie Brown some love and giving him the proverbial Valentine he was so wrongfully denied in life. So what we're doing here on the actual day is we're talking about the Harley Quinn animated series, and this year they put out, I believe, because the season is coming. Is the new season coming this year?
Is it coming this year? Because
I thought it was, but I could be wrong.
I mean, it's like February, so I guess we could get a trailer like within 2 or 3 months, and then it'll come out later this year, like in the fall.
Yeah. Well, regardless, either to satiate us for a year, or I believe just satiate us for the time being. Because remember, Harley Quinn, because of the production cycle on this thing, like the first season, the first two seasons were almost back to back. There's a very, very limited window between seasons because they pretty much worked on, like two seasons at once. At the very least, it sounds like they knew they're getting two seasons, and they worked on the whole kit and caboodle there. Then, DC Universe went down. Then HBO Max came up and brought the show back. And point being, we have a Valentine's Day special that we're talking about. That's kind of like a little bit of an in between seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're gonna break that down for you. Really, anything you want to say, just kind of broad spectrum about this thing before we get into the nitty gritty and kind of talk about the whole kit and caboodle.
It was interesting that when you go look for an HBO Max, it's not listed as its own thing, which makes sense because it's really just like basically an hour-long special. So
Yeah.
it's kind of listed as just like episode 11, season 3.
Yep.
And in my opinion, it's probably the best this is probably the best writing from Harley Quinn since like the first 2 seasons.
Really.
I guess it's less. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's high up above for me to say it. I don't want to like back away from my statement. I think it's just more like the things that I liked about it were just things that weren't as prominent in the third season. I think. Although I guess when we talk more about it more, it could be that that dynamic between Harley and Ivy is probably like I don't know, better written, or just like the kinks have been worked out to where they're kind of like past like the honeymoon stage or the initial growing pains. Is kind of just more of a fun. There's some conflict, but it's not when I made the point about how like season 3 was like a little bit more of the drama side, this is just like full on comedy, and so that was just kind of a nice.
Yeah. I gotta be honest. I'm really mixed on this. That's the thing. Harley Quinn is. I don't want to. I use this comparison a lot. I'm not using it to the same kind of fire and brimstone that I usually do, but it's kind of like I say with the CW shows all the time. After you kind of lose a piece of the DNA after the first two seasons, and again, we're only like 3 seasons in, and this, so I can't really say definitively, but I can say that it's like I love the first season of Harley Quinn. I love season 2. It's just like one joke I didn't like, and it was kind of an extended sequence, but it was like it's like one joke. And then season 3 is where I started to have problems with the writing, and it feels like it's not as fresh as it was. And again, we went over this. And you made some good points about it, but for me though, so I just can't get behind the Batman stuff until we get that Batman episode, and then the very end of it kind of through. It's like, well, okay, well, they had me and they lost me. So this feels kind of in tune with where season 3 was for me, and that in concept I like a lot of this, and I think I see absolutely what they're going for on this. And right now in the they're doing these tie-in comics still. They're coming out, like they're doing like Legion of Bats and stuff, and I'm not following them intently. But I've checked in on them, and the writing style is kind of similar to what we have here, where it's kind of like a lot of vignetted specials in that occasionally, outside of the whole Legion of Bats thing, which is showing you the whole Harley as part of the Bat family, sans a Batman right now, which again, from what you've told me last time we talked about this, I have no idea how much of it sounds like none of that's really going to be like directly referenced or pulled out when we do the
No, I think it's more along the lines of some of the just how some of the like
It's a lot
tie.
of guesstimating, it's guesstimating how it might go, but
Yeah, I don't think like the shows are beholden to the quote unquote tie-in comics. So
Yeah, yeah. So based on that, I'm just saying it's like it's not direct similarity. Like this is how this is setting the tone. It's the same race. I'm just saying it just seems to be kind of they're kind of in the same ballpark in terms of for example, like a special that they put out for like, hey, here's all the supporting characters from the Harley Quinn animated show, and we're seeing their kind of their side plots, and that's kind of what this feels like in terms of a kind of like a they're going for like a Love Actually thing here in terms of the story structure, in which okay, we're following everyone during this specific day, like what everyone's doing on this holiday, and then ultimately though the storylines do collide though. So I get what they're doing, and I respect that, and I like that, and it does feel on brand for what we're kind of doing in kind of a few sorts of media with this Harley Quinn animated show. But I just feel by doing that, you do run the risk of, well, some storylines might be stronger than others, and I think that does kind of show here and there. And I don't know, because of that, I'm kind of seeing some chinks in the armor of all the colliding stories. So I'm not 100% on this, but again, I do think it's well produced. I do think it's well made. And I do like the idea of like, hey, let's do some holiday specials with kind of the really good DC animated stuff we're doing here. So
I,
you know,
I
yeah,
guess I guess a part of it for me is that like because it's so comedy focused, I think a lot of my I mentioned before my issues with sort of the not with season three being so like the ratio of comedy drama being kind of skewed more towards the drama to where it becomes sort of like a kind of for me an internal running gag when the sad piano music plays. You know what I'm talking about? But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it was like, man, it was so prominent in season three. Whereas this is just like, hey, let's have some shenanigans. And I wonder, I mean, I'm guessing I'm right. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Blue Dragon. I feel like the humor in this was not 100% your bag, and I can understand that.
I think that I think the humor didn't. I think I kind of liked where the humor started to go, and then it lost me with certain choices that were made with the humor. That's where I'm at on the humor on this. But you're not wrong. Basically,
I, I mean, I'll tell you this: it's like
I
for
think
the
I like the setup. I don't like the punchline. I guess is probably what.
for the band, like by comparison, I assume it's correct that you don't particularly care for like the Batman Harley Quinn movie that came out like a few years ago.
The way I put it is I like the first 18 minutes of that movie, and then it just goes downhill for me.
See, for me, I think in terms of my sense of humor, like that was just great. I didn't mind that. So I think for this, like where the special probably loses you, like I'm kind of all in. So I can definitely see for some people if they're not into sort of like how far the humor goes in this special, um, it might turn off some people that would usually like enjoy like a typical season or episode of Harley Quinn that maybe doesn't go as far as the special does.
Okay. Well, again, might have some different perspectives here, which I think the folks love seeing that sort of thing when we talk about stuff like this. So yeah, let's go for it. Let's see what happens, man. Let's start breaking it down.
Sure.
Okay, so we start things off here with we have this couples framing device. Now, the really cool thing about the Harley Quinn animated series, they pull from a lot of Batman sources here, and they do kind of like find inventive ways to do that. And obviously, with the inclusion of Kite Man, there is a lot of Tom King in there, and I feel this framing device is very Tom King-esque, like Heroes in Crisis. Did you get that vibe at all?
No, no, that the free you're talking about the couples talking
Yeah,
to.
yeah, the couple's talking to
No,
the to the.
that's from when Harry met Sally.
Oh, well, I mean, did you get a Tom King vibe though at all, or no?
I
Just
did not
purely
get.
Harry and Sally.
Are you thinking, or you're thinking it's getting the Tom King vibe because of like the one issue of his run where it's like a date night with like Batman, Catwoman, Superman, and Lois Lane?
Well, no, no. I mean, look, I loved it. Believe me, I love that story. But no, I was specifically referencing Heroes in Crisis, which has that framing
Oh, like
device
when
where you
he
have like
shows
those, like the
talking to
camera,
someone off
like
camera.
yeah, the heroes doing
I
those in-camera interviews.
I didn't get that because like I just thought more of when Harry
I think you're absolutely right, but I just didn't think about that. But yeah, because again, I'm kind of on blind, so I'm thinking like Kite Man and everything. Oh, it might be a Tom King pool. But yeah, it's cool. So yes, we're doing the Harry Met Sally thing. And we have basically everyone kind of laying out their meet cute story. We start with Superman and Lois, which just long story short, we have we have like Metallo was like derailing a train, and he caught Lois Lane in the train. He put her down like on like the LexCorp building, and they got a chat, and then that's how they met.
And she had a long commute getting to her like hairdresser to get a
Yeah,
blowout or whatever.
yeah, I get a blowout. Yeah.
It's kind of fun. It's kind of interesting. I mean, I don't want to stray too much from sort of the recap, but like the pairings, like the people who make this show made some deep pulls from the comics. Do you know like which pairings I'm referring to specifically?
Um. Well, I don't know if deep pulls. I mean, the only deep pull pairing I can think of is you mean Killer Croc and Enchantress.
No. What for Barry and Satana?
Oh, those. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant specifically in the framing
Yeah, for
device.
Barry and
Oh,
Satana, because they're specifically were just only like I don't know if they were an actual romantic couple, but there were hints of them, being interested in one another in the satellite era of the Justice League comics.
hmm, neat. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah, yeah, I gotta admit, I think. Sorry. Yeah, I get this. I get the sense. For me, it feels like there was very little kind of payoff in the end for this, at least for me.
Oh, like, well, wasn't there? I mean, isn't there the payoff like with Harley and Ivy speaking to
I mean, they do address it, so I mean, I guess ultimately, I guess when you put it that way, there is some payoff. It just feels like, yeah, we pointed out in the gag, but it just feels like, yeah, we really. Oh, well, actually, I'm sorry, really, just going to occur to me now. Yeah, they basically point out there's padding the special with this. That's literally all. That's the whole reason we're doing this, because they ordinarily Harley Quinn episodes like 20, like 20 to 30 minutes. Like I forget
Mhm.
if they do. Do you know? Yeah, well, obviously they don't have commercials. So do they go the full 30 minutes? You think?
No, it's a 22 minute.
Okay, so it was the 22 minute. Regardless, they usually do like the 22 minutes, and they had to kind of double their runtime here roughly. So yeah, so they had to put this in there to help pad things out. It seems, and they called that out. So I guess there was some payoff for it, but initially it feels like, man, I wonder if there's going to be kind of like a bigger payoff for this. But
It's
yeah,
interesting that they didn't think to bring in like the character Cupid, like because of the Val. Maybe that was like too obvious of a choice. Um, she's a character from Green Arrow comics,
yeah, I know Cupid. Yeah,
but no, I really like. It's also kind of neat to see like the also it's like yeah, it's also interesting to see like the influences that like the DCEU specifically has on depiction of certain characters, at least in terms of looks. Um, like Hawkman is specifically very much modeled after like Aldous Hodges Hawkman. And
oh
fun,
for sure.
like the two actors that voice Hawkman and Hawkgirl, they respectively are actors that are on the hit show Abbott Elementary. And in that show, they play characters that are like in a will they won't they or like romantically paired, or hinted at to be, into one another romantically. So that was
It's a
kind of
good, it's a good idea. Yeah, I'm just saying they've been pulling a lot of comedy. They get a lot of kind of comedy and sitcom players for Harley Quinn, so it makes sense that we go to Abbott Elementary for that sort of thing. It's a good idea. It's interesting.
yeah.
Okay, so let's see. So point being, while this is going on, Harley starts to give kind of like a kind of like a she kind of monologues over the montage here. She basically talks about how great Valentine's Day is. Where essentially the benefit of Valentine's Day is for 24 hours you have kind of a get out of jail free card to do all the cheesy romantic stuff you're always self conscious about the whole year round. You can get away with it.
Mhm.
And basically, she's really looking forward to this year because now she's in a healthy relationship with Ivy instead of the Joker, which we kind of learn the more kind of uh, crucial reason for this later on. Yeah. So let's see. So we have this montage in which we see how our characters and our pairings in Harley Quinn are celebrating the Valentine's Day. We see like Riddler proposes to Clock King in Gotham Square.
Mhm.
Let's see. We have kind of like an homage to, I think it's the movie Ghost with King Shark, Tabitha, and Clayface.
Yes, yes.
Yep. Let's see. So we have. Oh yes, and then we had this one's really cute. Just the idea that Catwoman snuck Bruce Wayne while he's in jail. Snuck him a big old box of chocolates, and all the chocolates are bat shaped. That's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Joker snuggling with Bethany as they're streaming the Thomas Wayne biopic.
Oh man.
which is sick and wrong on so many levels, but I love it. Let's see. So Kite Man, Golden Glide, and make a little heart in the sky, and of course Kite Man's getting the spin-off. So I forget if that's going to happen this year or not as well. But yes, it's kind of they're kind of throwing a little Kite Man at you.
Mhm.
So it feels like the dynamic we kind of start off with. It's very much kind of it's very much kind of a little homage to kind of Holiday Nights, where you have very much the domesticated kind of like kind of Harley and Ivy, where they're hanging out in Catwoman's pad still. They're Ivy's very down on Valentine's Day, much like she was down on Christmas and Holiday Nights. About it's a wasteful holiday, and it's also the mass genocide of roses, which tracks.
Yes.
Tracks.
Mhm.
So let's see. So Harley wants to go out. She wants to go out. Ivy wants to stay in because she's on like episode 11 of her jazz docu series.
I wonder. I'm pretty sure it's got to be the Ken Burns produced or directed like jazz docu series.
Would it be more than 11 episodes?
I mean, I don't know the episode count. It could be like I mean, it's probably like, let me check. This is a I
Well,
mean,
what I mean is, I think the gag is like I'm only on episode 11, which usually, episode like 11 is like the penultimate episode. It's just like, man, this is a long documentary. I don't think Ken Burns like he does like pretty much movies instead of like episodes.
no, it was no, the jazz documentaries was like a 10 episode series.
Yeah, there you go. I think it's a gag. Okay, so Ivy suggests let's do a low key Valentine's Day. She wants to keep it very low key, which of course Harley wants to go all out, and there's going to be some conflict there. Kind of plant some seeds, no pun intended.
Mhm.
And Clayface is getting clayfished, or I guess no catfish, but I was trying to kind of zhuzh it up a little. So Clayface is getting catfished with a Jason Momoa pick, which is funny.
I love the reveal of the catfisher being Captain Boomerang.
Yeah, that's well, that's great, but I kind of question that a bit, but we'll get there. But real quick, I want to highlight though, I love the outfits for Harley and Ivy when they go out to Mama Macaroni's. I love their especially Harley's. It looks great.
I love how even though like Poison Ivy is depicted as kind of like not like the cool aloof person, she has
Mhm.
like very like maybe lack for a better word pedestrian or mundane interests.
I know. I love that about her character. I love the fact that she goes nuts for jazz and Mama Macaroni's. I love those are kind of like her two buttons, like the two things along outside the obvious being plants. Those are the things she loves most. But yeah, so basically, I'm sorry. Before we get to Mama Macaroni's, Bane, he's talking to the Riddler. And basically, we established that Bane, he's no swipes, no swipes, and Bane's essentially a grammar Nazi, which is kind of hindering his relationships a bit. He's very particular about like kind of verbiage and like how certain expressions are used. Like it's
No,
anyway, it's anyway, not anyways.
what I love about that is that it tracks to how Bane has like even though he's a supervillain that's like very like quote unquote above board. Like he's very much about bureaucracy, making sure things are lined up. Like he's very like Bane is very much like takes middle management seriously in like the supervillain game, and he'd be the type of person that would focus on proper grammar.
I love that distinction of the Harley Quinn Bane, which I think here's the thing, I think Bane is a highlight of the special, but then we kind of take a turn with Bane that I'm not 100% on. So that's the thing. For right now, folks, Act One is pretty much really doing it for me, and then that's when things are gonna shift, but we'll get there. So anyway, we're at Mama Macaroni's. Seriously, how this is like an awesome Italian place in Gotham. I love Mama Macaroni's. I get the hype is there. The hype is there. I mean, if there wasn't the risk of you getting shot in the head if you walked into Mama Macaroni's, I would absolutely go there.
I mean, doesn't that apply to really any establishment in Gotham City?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, probably even the Starbucks or Jitters, technically, if they want to use like kind of a flash kind of crossover there. But yeah, Yeah, so Ivy loves it, and Harley's kind of gone to these lengths to have like a very like a new dish given to Mama Macaroni's the vegan lazidi balls. It's like the turducken. It's like the Tuscan turducken, essentially, where it's basically all of her favorite foods ate each other.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this YouTube channel like binging with Babish. He's a guy that like
Yeah.
yeah, so like I would love if he did an episode on like making those balls from the special.
Well, I think recently he did the Pretty Patties from the SpongeBob episode. That guy does every. Benjamin Babish is awesome because he creates all the like. As a kid, I would always fantasize like all this cool animated food. What if it were ever realized in live action? And this guy's doing. He's living the dream, man. I dig it.
Yeah, I love if he would make those. What are they called again? The balls,
Okay, so they're called the vegan Lazidi balls or
the sea balls. Yeah.
the Tuscan turducken
Oh, I love how as Ivy's eating, it's like oh, it's like
under
uh,
the Tuscan Sun's third act.
yeah, and it's like man, it's very funny. It just always gets back to like how I always thinking back to the funny dynamic when Catwoman comes to the picture and Ivy tries to act cool, but like deep down, Ivy is just as much of a dork as Harley is, and that's kind of the sincere connection between the two.
Yeah. So as with any love story, the mob spoils the date. The mob comes in, kills the waiter, and they basically hold the chef hostage until well for a moment. Basically, they demand the Lazidi balls recipe. So again, this sounds highly suspect if you really think about it. Wait a minute, that's really specific. It's a new menu item. What is going on here? So Ivy very invested in the Lazidi balls. Recipe. She's going after him full tilt as these guys head to Robinson Park, and like she hijacks a handsome cab ride, like the little couple seeing the horse, and basically she gives chase into like she's very confident here. Oh, you done messed up, you dumb effers. You're heading to the most highly plant populated area in all of Gotham. Like she's like grabbing the car and everything with the plant vines and everything, and then of course we have like why please don't kill us. It was the CEO of Luxor Oil.
I love like the intentionally bad acting, like for those for the people that are trying to give like the chase to Ivy and Harley.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely something's kind of amiss here. And then, but this guy comes here. I'm going to shoot the woman you love. And of course, I do love how he killed this guy. It's very brutal. It's the fact that she turns the helicopter and basically atomizes him with the propeller blades, and then she makes a really cheesy joke that bombs. This is the fun thing. I love it. Ivy just like whenever she attempts humor, it falls so flat with kind of her deadpan kind of delivery. I love it. Just the whole like, I flipped you the bird. Get it? Because bird's another whirly bird. Well, I'm alive and you're dead.
Yeah. Poe's delivery of that is just great.
I know, right? It's the whole. It's almost. It's kind of tantamount to Joker's. The whole. I'm glad you're dead. It's a little. Yeah. So then we have the reveal as she gets the seemingly the recipe back. It's not a recipe. It's like a little like happy pretty much a Valentine's Day card, and we reveal all of this was an orchestrated gesture by Harley Quinn, including she had to. She basically threatened to kill the CEO unless he pointed a gun at her, which is really sadistic when you think about what she's done there.
Oh yeah.
Because she knew that guy was a goner. But then again, he's like he's an oil baron, so oil barons rarely have souls, so it's all good.
I mean, they were spilling like chemical acid on like the
Yeah,
eighth chemical like CEO group. So
yeah, so it tracks. I think so. That works. Then we have Etrigan the Demon, who, if I'm right, is voiced by John Stamos. Is that correct?
yes.
Yeah, John Stamos. Awesome. So John Stamos is Etrigan the Demon, who basically is speaking in rhyme and everything. I love how I think Etrigan is written perfectly in this. By the way, I love the fact he runs like a little magic shop that is very much emphasizing kind of like the Valentine's Day kinks. And he does a little on the side. He does a little fireworks thing, where basically using like hellfire and all that sort of stuff. He causes like little fireworks, say "Harley Ivy forever."
Oh, I love when they come back home. It's like, oh, I smell like Ivy remarks like, oh, I smell like hell and brimstone.
Literally. Yeah. All right. Let's see. So then we have the big thing. It's going to be the chink in the armor here, where Harley Basically, Harley says, "Is this the best Valentine's Day ever?" She says, "Oh, it's great." And of course, the fact she didn't say best ever is like a little thing. It's kind of like hitting Harley's OCD. It seems like. And again, I initially on the first watch, I didn't question why it was such a big deal, and I didn't question the correlation to our payoff. On the rewatch, I think it became more clear. Like, okay, this makes a little more sense than I gave it credit for initially, and it is kind of speaking to the relationship problem of Harley.
Mhm.
She can't let these things go, and we know why it's driving her crazy because it's kind of in reference to the bad relationship she's trying to get over. So I think it made more sense on the rewatch. What's going
Oh
on
yeah.
there?
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Hawkman Hawker, we have the scene you were talking about. Basically, they talk about long and short is they talk about the reincarnation cycle and how basically like a reincarnation meet cute.
Yeah. I love it's like, "Oh, and then we got married." It's like, "Yeah, it was arranged." Yeah, it was just kind of matter of fact that there was really
Yeah,
no choice but getting married in those times. I love the dark side re shacking it up with a thinly veiled Melania Trump.
right. That's yeah. it's Wait, is it Melania or Ivanka?
No, it's
I can't keep them straight. I don't know which one's which.
no, it's Melania because Ivanka is Trump's daughter.
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha. Well, yeah, that's the. I mean, that's I assumed it was because they were going for Trump
It
daughter.
feels very much like them they're paying tribute to the Simpsons gag where like they have like the Republican National Convention and it's all like these like dastardly villains throughout fiction. One of them being Dracula and Mr. Burns.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Okay, so then we have like, so Clayface. We check in on Clayface's blind date, kind of his little like kind of dating app, the thing that he set up here, where he's being catfished. Very obvious. This is Clayface. This is really funny. Clayface. He's dressed in like a suit and he's got hair and he's going to Crime Alley, which he's been convinced that in Crime Alley they've put up a vegan coffee shop. There's so many things about this that just cracks me up. Just the fact that one, it's in Crime Alley. Two, it's a coffee shop. And three, the fact that Clayface did not realize in the last second, wait a minute, all coffee is vegan. I've been had.
Well, not really.
Oh,
If
really?
because I mean it's like the milk, right?
I mean, was I don't so is milk count as vegan or no? Because it like
No,
comes from the cow.
milk doesn't. I mean, traditional dairy milk, no.
Okay, so
Like
like soy milk is like vegan.
yes, soy milk is vegan.
All right. Yeah, well, what about cream? Is cream count or is that the same difference? Is that the same deal?
It depends upon the source of the cream.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, the point being that the fact is, a coffee shop in Crime Alley is ridiculous. So, Captain Boomerang is the perpetrator here, and he basically mugs Clayface. He could go in some Gotham City parallels here. Muggings happen in Crime Alley. It's just how it works. Water is wet. Crime Alley, bad place. Don't walk there. And yeah, so basically, Clayface has no cash, but what he does have are not so great seats for the Brett Goldstein event.
Man,
And yeah,
love the wink and a nod to the Ted Lasso people, Ted Lasso fans in the group.
yeah. Of course, I do. Have you seen Ted Lasso?
Yeah,
It's great, right?
yeah. It's I'm very did you fun fact, season 3 will premiere on March 15th.
Wait, really? They announced it?
Yeah, in the teaser.
Awesome! I can't wait for that. Yes, finally. Anyway, that's good news for me. I'm sorry, folks, a little distracted by some good Ted Lasso news. Anyway, but if we're gonna find out about, it, we're gonna find out about it in the Brett Goldstein episode of Harley Quinn. Okay, so, anyway, so Captain Boomerang, just Phil, do you buy that Captain Boomerang would go to these lengths just he'd go on blind dates just to rob people in Crime Alley? I mean, it's not real that local to Gotham. Do you buy it?
I mean, it really could just been any scumbag.
Yeah,
It would have been very funny if it was like a obscure Batman villain like Film Freak, and
yeah,
he specifically goes after Clayface to like force him to do like some very like not even like an exploitation film, but like a very crappy like student art like student film or like film that's like barely above like film student, what they
yeah.
just did in their class, but No, I think Captain. It's I would bet you that like Captain Boomerang, like a boomerang comes back around, and maybe there might be some Suicide Squad, arc or
I think well, we did set up Amanda Waller, and I think that is the
and
impression that we're going to do
like
something.
literally three of the characters in the special are like Suicide Squad members.
That's true, and again, we did tease the Suicide Squad last season, so yeah.
Yeah, and the roster that was shown was specifically the roster from the 2016 film,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
it's very possible for, which means I'm kind of hoping for like the 2021 roster with like Bloodsport and like Peacemaker and maybe
Oh,
Pokemon.
it probably helps that James Gunn was in last season of Harley Quinn as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Clayface gets cut in half by Captain Boomerang, and of course I like to think just the framing of this with a little spotlight and everything. There's a little karma for like you were in that Thomas Wayne biopic, so there you go, buddy. That's kind of life imitating art for you.
Hmm.
All right, so Ivy, meanwhile, she's, she and Harley, they had a great Valentine's Day. She's going to shower off fire and brimstone from hell, and meanwhile, poor Bane here. So poor, this is hysterical. So Bane is like walking sadly through Gotham as he's seeing couples in love while eating heart-shaped pretzels. Like, Happy Valentine's Day, oh, good for you. he's, and then he's like no matches at all, and he sees like a Riddler, by the way, earlier, he's doing like this painting and wine event for Clock King, so that Bane tried to invite himself to, and he got shunned. So he's having a pretty terrible time. But then he meets Betty. Now, I really liked Betty. Thought she was good. Yeah, so this is a really ingenious setup here where Bane, he sees like kind of a woman in a trench coat and kind of some hints of leather here, and she seems to be really friendly and really cordial, like kind of this middle management interpretation of Bane. She mistakes
Hmm.
Bane for her assistant, and we reveal she's like an S&M kind of like a kind of
Dominatrix.
dominatrix. That's the word. Thank you.
Yeah.
She's basically a dominatrix. And basically, this mistakes Bane is like perhaps like a separately hired kind of assistant for like the other dominatrix person.
Hmm. Yeah, because like I think there's a joke. I think I remember there's always the criticism of like just a side tangent, like the when there's like the new Adventures of Batman and
Yeah.
Bane.
Oh right, the Leather Boy. Bruce Timm called him the Leather Boy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, that's good. I didn't think about that. That's a really good pull, Rohit. Yeah. That's funny. So yeah, she asked him like, if okay, look, I gotta know, man, if you spank, humiliate me, or like torture my anus, like, am I gonna feel in the morning? Then we had like one of the great Dark Knight Rises pulls. Right? I think here's the thing. I think we have a really good reference here, and later on we have a not a reference to Dark Knight Rises. We have another. We pull another direct line from something. I don't think we did as good a job as we did here. It would be extremely painful for you.
that was a good pull.
Yeah, it was. So the idea that Bane, I'm so freaking charmed by Bane, like having a good Valentine's through a very unconventional way, having a nice Valentine's Day. I think
Well,
that
I
is
mean,
just
yeah, Bane is kind of like bit of like a wooby or like a sad sack throughout the show.
yeah.
Like he kind of gets like put down by the other villains. Um, you
He's
know,
Charlie Brown. She's Charlie Brown on steroids. It would seem.
yeah, no,
Well, yeah,
that's a good.
like maybe not. Maybe it's a bad comparison, but I don't know. She's kind of like
It's not too bad. I think Bane's probably a little bit more neurotic than Charlie Brown is.
well, I don't know. I mean, Charbon's literally like you look at neuroses in a book. He's literally like right next to it. So I don't know. He's got triskaidekaphobia.
True.
If I'm
Um,
pronouncing that right. But yeah, I'm sorry. Go on.
yeah, but I really like the sort of the looming insecurity of Bane as like they're doing the service towards a particular client.
Hmm.
And him just trying to, he has an average, like a penis size, that's something that wouldn't be mocked upon or whatnot. I'm just like, I love the projection upon from Bane in regards to the one client.
Yeah, I'm gonna have things to say on that when we get there in a second. But yeah, it's good. It's I like the idea of giving Bane just kind of like like, finding I like giving Bane a silver lining after all the crap that he's endured in the Harley Quinn show, because, Two-Face really made a fool out of him and gave him, like, the big pit in the ground as, like, a compliment, essentially, and everything. So here okay, so I gotta be honest, so right after we introduce the Bane plot line, this is where things start to waver for me in the episode. This is really the point where things are starting to, like, I'm starting to raise eyebrows and things where I think we're drifting back into what season 3 did, where we're going a little too heightened for my taste. But it's just for my taste. I think I don't know. So Wonder Woman is crying over Steve Trevor, and then we have this overly heightened thing where she falls for Harley Quinn pretending to be an Amazon, saying Themyscira is under attack by men. This scene feels, in terms of the comic book references, this feels a lot like Amanda Connor's, like, Harley's Black Book kind of comic event, which is good, and I like that. I'm just saying this feels very much like we're playing to the Amanda Connor stuff here, where we can buy Harley Quinn in, like, kind of like an outfit here, and just Wonder Woman being really gullible in this scene, and
The one thing I didn't buy, now thinking about it, is that like having the video, of the one person that was like, "Oh, Amazon is under attack," and it's like, wasn't she specifically someone that took over the island and basically was selling the island off to like Lex Luthor or whatnot?
well, that's the thing. So when Wonder Woman was trapped inside the spell book, she was trapped inside, well, the fairy tale book from, I think, Queen of Fables. Yeah, from
Yes.
Queen of Fables' his book. Because of that, one of the I think she was one of the Amazons. I forget her name. It's not Orisha, but it's like one of the the lady with the short hair. She basically she hypnotized Apollo or something, and in doing so, Apollo did not have any oversight, and she turned basically she was trying to sell Themyscira to Lex Luthor, like real estate. He loves that real estate.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, so that's what's happened previously, and I don't know if one ever got caught up to speed on that or not. So, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I was mixing. No, that's Hippolyta. I didn't realize. I
Oh,
forgot.
yeah, that is Hippolyta on the phone
Oh,
with okay, so the idea is this is funny, though. Hippolyta did, like, that celebrity thing Cameo, where essentially pays celebrities, like, 40 bucks, probably more than 40 bucks. I think the gag here is Hippolyta did not score as high as other celebrities would be for, like, a cameo thing. So she pays, like, 40 bucks and has, like, Hippolyta say, like, "Diana, come to Themyscira at once," or something like that. I forget what precisely she says.
and then the ending line is like, and have a wonderful quinceanera. It's like,
Yeah. So then Wonder Woman does the awesome Linda Carter spin, and she's out of there, and Harley basically swipes the lasso. And the whole thing is, this is honestly, you know what this is, Rohit? This is just them, yet again, this is them padding the special, but just kind of twiddling their thumbs with some comedy here. And I'm not saying, like, it's not fun to do that sometimes, but this one feels like, man, we really had to stretch that for a gag. We really had to, like, how gullible is Wonder Woman? Instead of Harley Quinn just, like, having to steal that lasso, it's just no, she has to go through, like, a whole thing and trick her into leaving.
yeah, yeah. If Clayface was involved and was literally Hippolyta, and then tricked, and then said like, "Oh, like Wonder Woman, we need your help" or whatnot,
Yeah.
then maybe that like then Wonder Woman could have been less gullible in that respect if Hippolyta was literally there in person. Uh,
Yeah.
or maybe Harley Quinn could have like let Doctor Psycho out, or maybe like convinced Doctor Psycho to wreak havoc, and then have Wonder Woman, be preoccupied.
Yeah. Yeah, entirely possible, yeah. So, let's see. So, okay, so then we have Croc and Enchantress, and the idea of Killer Croc. He's very because he's a guy with the skin condition. He goes to the dermatologist office, and he's very concerned about melanoma. He has melanoma concerns, so it's the fact he's a bit of a hypochondriac about melanoma because of his skin condition that made him turned him into a crocodile man.
Uh-huh.
So he met Enchantress, so we got a meet cute there, and basically a better version of the Enchantress in the Suicide Squad movie. And then we have a Clayface. Okay, so then we have the Clayface thing, where, as we know, as we established very famously, when Clayface has a severed part of his body, many a time it will become sentient and it will be hilarious. And here, I don't think we did as good as we did with his hand becoming Jim Gordon's best friend. um, we have Clayface's legs, more specifically his butt, but basically him from the waist down. And This is where, again, this is yet another thing where it starts to lose me here. Where I think they're going really broad, and honestly, the whole Clayface subplot does feel like this is them trying to get to the hour mark in terms of like, hey, let's do a sub thing where we're seeing what Clayface is up to this Valentine's Day and kind of our love actually storytelling here, and it's like he's falling in love with himself, like most actors, and it's kind of this just the absurd levels at which we went where they're questioning how edgy can we make our Valentine's Day special here with the whole problematic Valentine of it all, where
Mhm.
he's literally like you have Alan Tudyk playing the other version of Clayface with who's basically doing the Ace Ventura like he's a talking butt.
Mhm.
So how did you feel about this, man?
I didn't mind. I can feel. I haven't like rewatched the special, so
Yeah,
maybe upon a rewatch, it might get a little bit old. But I think it was fine. I certainly can see the point being made about it being a lesser version of the initial gag for when Clayface was initially, severed, and his part was like became friends with Jim Gordon.
yeah,
Um, I think I liked sort of the parts when maybe not towards the beginning, but more near the end when they're just trying to specifically stay apart, and just the whole like pantomiming. They're both in like a hamster wheel, and there's this candle. That was a fun part. And then when Bane, well, just to jump a little bit ahead, when they're forced back together, Clayface is just like utter sense of tragedy was just funny. But I wasn't like quote unquote the strongest part of the special, so I can definitely understand some people not being into it as much as the other parts of the special.
yeah. All right, back at the back at Catwoman's uh, I guess mansion. Would you say mansion or
Apartment,
penthouse?
a
What?
penthouse apartment.
Yeah, penthouse apartment. Meanwhile, back at the penthouse apartment, Harley ties Ivy up with the lasso of truth there, and I love this is a really funny exchange. Her asking, "Wait a minute, is this the actual lasso? Is this from your Halloween costume of Wonder Wolfman?" I love that Harley's just so ticked off that Ivy thinks no one got that. It's like Wonder Wolfman. It's Wonder Woman with hair. What's not to get?
No, it's a were. It's like wonder. It's like a werewolf in a Wonder Woman costume, or
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So, anyways, he gets the truth out of Ivy. It's like her worst nightmare. I like how we play that. Just Ivy's like, oh God, no, don't make me tell the truth in a relationship. No. So we learned this is a this Valentine's Day was a top three. The fact that it's top three and not just like the second best one is like, oh, it's the top three. It's just like, of course, the achiever that she was when her relationship with the Joker. This is just this is a lot for Harley to take, and Ivy just tries to make it plain. Like, look, I don't care. Okay, it doesn't matter to me. Okay, I just want to binge some HBO Max shows. She literally name drops it. I just want to binge some HBO Max shows, have sex, and go to bed. That's all I want. Harley, she basically excuses herself using the bathroom as a running gag, even like in the Batman Harley Quinn thing. Harley's always doing bathroom humor. She's always doing stuff in the bathroom.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, so yeah, this is where Bane and Betty they're having the mundane conversation, and this is great. I love what they're conversing about here, where it's about the whole like, lumbar support thing, because we know how Bane feels about chairs, because he never got that chair in Legion of
Yeah,
Doom. He always wanted. They're doing S&M stuff to the client, and they're
yeah, and
torturing, humiliating him.
Betty's also she was a former accountant.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I love the mundanity. She was a former accountant. They're talking about like, yeah, and of course, if you make them too comfortable, then you're not going to be productive. And I feel like I know you. I'm absolutely shipping these two, man. I love it.
Yeah,
Like that's great. And again, the fact the whole episode we have like these meet cutes kind of in the framing device. So we're seeing kind of a meet cute before our eyes. That's all working for me. She invites him to her place, and then we have the size mocking here, and this makes Bane concerned. Now here's the weird place I'm at on the Bane story because I love everything up to this point. Then we get to a space where it's sort of it's like I'm feeling too much pity for Bane, and it's kind of like I was hoping it was going to go in the direction just let the man have a nice Valentine's Day date, or like at the very least we go forward with this story, and there's like a silver lining,
mhm.
but we go a little broad with it with how he handles this situation, and yeah, I don't know.
You know, like the him going to Etrigan for like a penis enlargement potion or spell.
Well, it's not. It's less that. It's just more what it's more of like how awry that it goes. Like I feel like the way in which it went awry went literally a little too big. You know, it's the fact that like like going to Etrigan's potion shop. One, I love both stops at the potion shop. I love like we have Etrigan like rhyming like 49.99 and Zendaya and the whole Zendaya thing.
Mhm.
Like all that's great. Him speaking in rhymes great. He helps Harley out, but yeah, I don't know. I think making Bane into a kaiju again. We can't. I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to get kaiju fatigue. Are you getting kaiju fatigue at all in all these superhero things?
What super things have kaiju like beyond just like what Starro and
Well,
Ant Man when he becomes giant, and that's like the only two things that come to mind with kaiju. Like
well, I guess what I should. Well, trying to. I know there's a lot. I guess what I'm saying is there's a lot of the animated stuff that I've seen people like grow giant a lot in the things, and I don't know. I'm hard pressed to think of examples, but I'm telling you, man, I keep seeing kaiju's pop up in things a lot, and maybe not just superhero things, but I guess I don't know. Like I don't get
I
superhero
I
fatigue, but I do
don't
get kind of like
remember like the last thing before this. I don't remember the last time I seen something that like grew giant size beyond just like Captain America Civil War and like I don't know, maybe some. I mean, I don't know
I
if
mean,
it's
Rohit, I swear to you, there are better examples because Ant Man's fine because that's what he does, and Starro obviously needs to be a giant starfish. But it just feels like I can't name it. But like in a lot of the DC original animated stuff, I see like we have Trigon, we have stuff like I don't know. There's like it just
I mean,
feels like we're
Tyga
doing
is like always a giant guy. Like I would understand maybe if it's like I feel like also like someone growing to giant size is kind of just like a trope, in like in big broad, sci-fi and fantasy stuff. Like there's like the attack of like the 50-foot tall woman back in the 50s. So
yeah.
I guess that is just like a trope that is not like really recent or maybe not recent to.
Oh, you know what? Okay, I know a recent. Well, here's the thing. Again, I want to be clear. There are better examples, but you're right. I don't think it's all superhero. I think it's just in media these days. Because I'm looking at like Turning Red, for example. We have a kaiju in the third act, essentially, which feels unnecessary.
Okay, I see your point.
But again, I think you're right. The kaiju fatigue is probably the wrong way of putting it, but it feels like I think we're leaning on making things giant these days, maybe a little too much after like the novelty of like, oh, man, that's like Giant Man's a really cool idea, but it just feels like we're just kind of like I
I
don't
mean,
know if I need like a kaiju Bane here.
I mean, I found it just funny in terms of just what he did as a kaiju.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That is a point that what we did. Well, what he did is kind of like you don't see many kaiju's doing that.
That's what makes Bane in this the best kaiju.
Hmm. All right. Well. Okay. Anyway, let's put a pin in the kaiju thing just for a moment. Okay. So after appointment, Harley gets her potion. So then we have like we have kind of the big sex scene where it's like we see like the best and literally divine love making and I do have to question this though, especially after that Velma show came out. I'm not going to turn this to the whole Velma discussion. I watched the first episode of that thing and it was not great.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it there. All I will say is that given that we have a very large and very naked Bane in this thing, and we do see more nudity than we have seen. This is like after I think we talked about this during the third season with that Court of Owls episode. Is the fact that we had like the eyes wide shut orgy with the Court of Owls in Harley Quinn, and we blurred out the nudity there. It just feels like at this point where we like the first episode of that Velma show has like nudity in which it feels like there's like a double standard where we don't show we'll show the male butt all the live long day, but not the female butt. We're gonna be really we're gonna make sure to go out of our way doing the Austin Powers censorship thing. I just kind of raise an eyebrow at where this thing is going full tilt. A very problematic Valentine's Day special. That's like literally all the marketing. Like we're gonna go full tilt with this thing because we built it up at this point, and just gonna run wild with it. Each scene's
I
gonna be a little more raunchy. It just feels like why are we pulling back? If we're like going there, if we're trying to go 100% at the very least 90%, why are we going 75 all of a sudden?
I think I don't know. Maybe it's like a mandate from Warner Brothers or even like this like animation censors. Although I don't know how like animation censors work for streaming services.
But that's the thing with the animation censorship, doesn't it? Like I've seen this a couple times, even way before this, where like you look at Killing Joke, we do the big scene with Barbara, and we're not showing the nudity that is from the book, yet it's an R-rated movie that's adapting that book.
Well, it's probably R rated because of like the violence.
Yeah, the violence, and it just feels like it's that still that odd standard with censorship where it's like all the violence in the world, that's fine. We're in a very violent culture, but any indication of nudity or sexuality, heck no, we're not doing that.
Blame the Puritans for being for shaping the foundation of American sensibilities.
That's not an answer I would have expected, but it's a good one. Yeah, I mean it's a little weird to you that we keep doing that based on said Puritans.
I mean, I guess like nowadays it should be a little bit more looser, but it's just it's I think it's just specific to like American culture and American, especially and especially American animation. I can certainly see maybe the concern is like if we are too explicit in the nudity, maybe it's not something that can be available. Or maybe like I don't know if in their mind I don't know if it's a corporate thing or a censorship thing where it's like animation nudity is like something that you know isn't is more prohibited than traditional nudity because like maybe in the sense that how like films or whatever or are hooked up to the app. Like it could be a thing where like for kids, it's unfortunate we have kind of the bias like, oh, animations for kids when it's animation is a medium. Maybe in the case it's like maybe there's one executive where maybe the censors are more like willing to hide or not show nudity because in our very specific American sensibilities, violence is relatively okay for children to see, but any very frank depictions of sexuality, um, you know, maybe it's a no-no. But
Yeah. All right, so let's see. So anyway, in the scene again, I do think I bring it up because I think the scene is kind of tastefully done. It just feels weird that again we don't end up masking all the Bane nudity, but we something kind of literally slips through the crack. No, well, I guess somewhat of a pun intended there. I don't know. So we have the shala wow moment, in which Harley Quinn mission accomplished. Big old plume of pheromones from a mission accomplished befalls the entire city and basically leads to Caligula in the streets. It's very much everyone just the next person they see, they're going for it. Then we cut to
I have to say I do question like Harley's rationalization of it being consensual because the thing is, aren't wouldn't you want to make the argument that for the people under the pheromones are kind of a quote unquote are under the influence?
yeah. So it's
That
like the alcohol thing. If people are drunk and they both if both parties are drunk and they go for it, does is it consensual?
that's kind of like something that was maybe something that like I feel like there should be a little bit more questioning about whether that's kind of quote unquote okay or not. But I do it is funny kind of like how about the whole pheromones thing interacting with Bane's particular size problem or size solution, if you will.
Yeah, so that's a good combination of yeah, solution in quotes, but yeah. it's, it's a very comedic combination of dilemmas there.
Mhm.
Let's see. So briefly, we have the Aquaman and Mirror. Did you? I wonder if I read too much into this. Was there like an allusion to the Amber Heard stuff with the Aquaman and Mirror thing? Or am I crazy?
I well the thing she talks about was specific to her origin in
Yeah,
like the New 52 run.
yeah,
But I can understand where people might have like gotten that. I think there's just kind of the thing where it likely this was made. Oh, I assume I don't know, like the process of writing the script and animating. It's probably was made long before all that's kind of impacted the culture. But I think it just you know with sort of what happened, how you feel about it. Just kind of it does kind of quote unquote color
Well, it
the
was only not. It was only. Well, I think the estimation animation is most animated episodes take about 9 months to make. So presumably this is like 9 months ago.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think the Amber Heard stuff was. Well, regardless, I don't want to belabor the point, but yeah, it's the okay. So, but yeah, mostly New 52, kind of like Mira being real tough cookie.
Yeah.
All right, we have Clayface and the Melodrum. But again, we have like the Clayface Melodrum here. They're both in like the two handsome cabs, like unable to touch despite wanting to.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Oh yeah, so then we have Bane here. He's begging Etrigan, despite the shop's about to close, for a solution for his size issue. And at least Bane claims that the issue is, he claims emphasis, the issue is because of his giant size, he is being averagely and satisfyingly endowed. According to him, it would look um, not so substantial. Basically, it's like almost like an optical illusion of sorts. He gives like kind of like a funny analogy. I'm blanking on what the terms he used, like someone's like hands and like someone's body, essentially. Now it's a question of if it's that or if it's like kind of the steroids thing, where like because he's on
Yeah,
Venom all the
really,
time, get
it
it.
could be either. It could be either one, and that's kind
Yeah.
of the humor behind it.
I'd like to give him benefit. I'd like to think it actually is like an optical illusion thing. It's probably the Venom thing, if I'm being frank. But I think it's just like he's. Yeah, I think that'd be like a really unique problem to have if you are Bane, where it's like, no, there's no downside necessarily to the Venom there, but it's just like,
I
yeah,
mean, if the fact that he like was like shit when he saw that like do not apply for people on human growth hormone,
yeah,
and I feel like the connection's kind of the point is like Venom is steroids, and
yeah.
with steroids with the
There's a lot of shrinkage with the steroids. Yeah.
yeah.
Um. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Anyway, so Bane here, he applies the solution, and he becomes a kaiju, and of course mixed with the pheromones. We have a very well placed, very judiciously placed "Ding Dong Dogs" billboard, which I
Mhm.
think summarizes our dilemma for the special here, where Bane is basically King Kong on a bad day.
No,
Basically,
he's King Kong on he's King Kong ready to have some fun. If you know what I
he's
mean.
King Kong in heat. I think that's probably the best way of putting that. He's like, "Where's Fay Ray?" Bang, bang, bang. So basically, it's like, what if?
Willing to put the banana and everything.
I think the other way of putting it is, it's like, what if? It's kind of like if you need an analogy for Zack Snyder, the machismo and the building destruction. I think it's Bane in this special. That's kind of what it feels like.
It's Zack Snyder meets Playboy, or meets like a '70s porno. You know,
Okay. Hey Zach, can you direct this for us? Can I? Yes. Let me do this, man. Yeah. Okay, anyways, point is, there's a lot of humping here, and Harley fesses up like all around the town, not just Biz before Bane enters. Right? I can't. You can't get mad at me for getting you off too good, and then point makes the consensual point, which again, I mean, it's up in the air because I mean everyone is agreeing to it, but you're right, it is chemically induced. So
yeah.
anyway, before they can have a further discussion, this Kaiju Bane shows up and he's humping buildings and destroying them, and that's not good. So then we have the dark side gag. We're having our allusions to political stuff going on here with dark. There's just Michael Ironside. This is kind of the freakazoid principle of kind of absurdist humor, where it's like you have an esteemed actor like Michael Ironside, who was the legit dramatic dark side from Superman the animated series, saying this ridiculous dialogue, and it's really hysterical.
Hmm.
So both clay faces having the pheromones got to them and they want to touch, but they really can't because they know it's going to be the end of them. Again, kind of kind of like a takeoff of the Growing Pains episode from Batman the Animated Series, a whole reabsorption threat.
Yeah.
So they're in hamster balls.
Oh man. When they're in the hamster balls and like the candlelit dinner, that just got me. Just the visual of it.
Oh yeah, it's really funny. Okay, so let's see. Okay, anyway, so they're separating. They're going to go to Clayface has to hawk a ticket has to scalp a ticket at the Brett Goldstein event at the Gotham Amphitheater. Um, Plan right now is like Harley and Ivy. They're going to trip Bane so she can basically kiss him and then remove the hormone, or not the hormone, remove the pheromone thing.
Mhm.
Let's see. So Bane, anyway, so while he's down, it seems like Special's gonna be over Bane. Then he's going after Goldstein. So we got the actual Brett Goldstein, it appears, and of course we've kind of comedically just kind of exaggerated where he's got this giant like kind of shag carpet chest, which Brett Goldstein is a hairy man, so this is But Brett Goldstein must be a really good sport because they're saying he's an actor who's like essentially polishing his Emmy on stage. They're making fun of like the Hollywood thing where sometimes you have like Clint Eastwood talking to a chair, you have like a celebrity just doing
Well,
something kind of ridiculous.
and there's like and then there's like the subtle like masturbation joke in that.
Mm-hmm.
But I love him like he's doing a one man show, just him reading like Lord Byron. Like
Yep,
it's
while
very
while polishing the Emmy, which is looking more phallic than an Emmy does in real life.
I love that gap because like it's very much like like it seems like these writers are very much like keyed into like social media and probably seen a lot of women like fawning over Roy Kent and just kind
Yeah,
of like, all right, let's just make this a thing.
I just love that Roy Kent. He's so nice to. I think it's his niece, right?
Yes.
I love the dynamic with him and his niece. He's trying to be kind of a father figure to an extent. I think that's really cute.
Yeah.
Um, Anyway, so I think the saddest moment of the whole special, Bane, he sees Goldstein. I love he's apologetic during some of this, but he can't control the incredible horniness that he is feeling right now, as he's basically to like a billboard, like one of those electronic kind of Times Square billboards of like screens of Brett Goldstein. He's humping poor Mama Mia's Mama Macaroni's restaurant to death, and like Carl and Ivy's like no, and they start to hash it out about their relationship stuff. You were like, well, you know what, Harley, you don't listen. Says, what about you? I said yes. You wanted to go out. I didn't, but I said yes because I listened. I think Ivy's absolutely in the right here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, thank God Bane doesn't finish.
Well, no, he keeps finishing. They're saying that's he's
Oh
they every time they keep saying that he's finishing in these buildings.
oh God.
Like he on the fourth story of the Gotham Stock Exchange, he did it. So
Man,
so
that's gonna
poor
be it's gonna be a sticky situation in the morning.
yeah, let's just say Gotham cleanup is gonna be it's gonna be more ways than one, not just the building wreckage, but we're gonna need a lot of solvent. So let's see. So, and of course, obvious question: should we save these people at the Gotham Amphitheater? It's like they paid $120 to see a guy polish his Emmy. Do they need to live? So then of course, it's just literally a Man of Steel path to the amphitheater. He's just humping every building that's in the way. Clayface. He has the Shakespearean dilemma as he scalps the tickets, and he's doing Romeo and Juliet too. Like, and Juliet is the moon, and so of course the moon being because he's talking to a butt. That's kind of
Oh
funny.
God, I didn't even think it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Anyways, of course, they get stepped on and reabsorbed, and again, it's tragic. Clayface has again lost his deluded relationship.
Mhm.
Goldstein, this is really nice. Goldstein just he's ushering people out in orderly fashion. Like, do not look at the pendulous, essentially the pendulous wrecking ball like pendulous stuff.
Mhm.
Anyway, so Bane, he humps. Now this is kind of an ingenious design thing. They made the amphitheater, at least the back of the amphitheater, look like a butt, look like someone bent over.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
yeah, that's pretty ingenious. I'm going to give him that. So Harley basically asked him, can you turn into like you did last? Can you turn into like a giant version of 2 seasons ago? Can you turn into like a giant version of Brett Goldstein and list off all of Bane's turnoffs from his dating profile?
Mhm.
And they give him like the Vampire Diaries season 5 pep talk. It's just they kind of like get him out of it. He's just like Stanislavski to do it. So he does the Stanislavski method. Essentially, he becomes like a giant Brett Goldstein here, and then here's the line that did not do it for me. Where we ripped off WandaVision in kind of an uninspired way. The whole "what is horny if not love persevering."
I didn't catch. I didn't pick up on the WandaVision reference, but I think I can see it being split, 50-50 on reception of it because I feel like some people like that line, but some people may not like that, and that could
I
be
think most people liked it just for like, oh, they reference Marvel. It was like, come on, guys, what are we really saying with that reference, though? Come on, we took a beautiful moment and we turned into a horny joke. Come on.
I mean, that's in line with this entire special. Let's be real. It's problematic, not romantic Valentine special.
Yeah. All right, so basically, Clayface is doing the grammar stuff that we set up with Bane early in the special, and then in Shadow, which we do a couple Shadow gags in this. Of we'll show the butt, but we thank goodness we do not show the reckoning, Gotham's reckoning, and and anyway, so the Shadow goes down. So of course, like, yeah, we turned him off, hooray! And like no refunds. As Brett Goldstein gives kind of like the no refund speech, but gives it like an epic way.
I laughed at that part. Just
That
like
was funny. Yeah. So anyway, then we have the aftermath. Now here's the thing. So the aftermath is just kind of what brings up my whole Bane thing here, where it's like I feel like it's so weird where I'm feeling too much pity for Bane almost. Where I don't know. It's just given. I don't know. It's like given in the Harley Quinn show, I guess Bane is very pitiable. So I guess it kind of goes hand in hand. Where I feel so bad for him where he's like the performance on Dane's really good here, where he's very apologetic. I'm sorry, thank you for saving me. I'm sorry for that. And I love just the sadness in which he reveals I used magic too, I was trying to do something nice for someone for Valentine's Day. It's like my heart breaks for this giant drug addict. It really does.
yeah, but I mean, it worked out with Betty.
It did, but I don't. Yes, but I still don't quite get it. Neither do they. So the whole like Betty arrives and she's I don't get why I don't get where I sorry, let me rephrase it. I'm trying to phrase this delicately. So I like the idea that there is a silver line there. She's still into it and everything. The whole like you have a sexual charisma I want to be a part of which I want to be a part. Which of course the grammar turns him on, and then Harley and Ivy are questioning how is that going to work. Now I fear the answer is, to put it tastefully, the opening of The Boys season 3. I fear that's the answer, but
I mean, it could be the other way.
oh
And
right, right.
yeah,
God. Well,
maybe
I mean,
maybe less maybe less the boys and more what people wanted Ant-Man to do to
yes, the
Thanos.
Thanos of it all. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh god. Regardless, I mean, I like that it worked out for him. I'd like to think longevity wise, she'd stick around when he returns to average size. I don't know. A part of me wanted like an acceptance of a part of me, honestly, I think when they set up this thing, I was kind of looking forward to like a whole like Bane. I guess I was looking less broad comedy, more just immediate like kind of sincerity for some reason, just of like her saying, you know what, it's okay, I do this, and then like Bane finding like a
no,
kink he never thought of or something. I thought that's where they were going.
they'll probably play. They'll probably will pay it off in season 4 and like behind in the background Bane is with Betty or whatnot and they're a lovely couple. So
I'd like to think that I
I mean,
really would.
Time Man, like after being left at the altar, got with Golden Glider in the
Yeah.
next season. So things are gonna work out for Bane.
So I'm hoping Betty sticks around for those reasons. 'Cause I do think they have good chemistry, and I think it's nice to give Bane at least one win. And it's like literally, Bane, if we're gonna use the Charlie, in the comments, someone brought up the fact that Kite Man, of course, he was Charles Brown. Just with the Charlie Brown comparisons here is the fact that Bane, being a proverbial Charlie Brown, he has a little red-haired girl
Mm-hmm.
and Betty.
Yeah.
So let's see. So then at the end here we have this this is a nice payoff though. The fact
Mhm.
of like what is the best Valentine's Day that Ivy ever had, where she reveals it's actually when they met in their meet cute in Arkham, at least a little after their meet cute in Arkham Asylum, where Harley brought her some chocolate milk that she swiped, and they talked about Shrek 2.
Mhm.
Which is nice, and again, it just kind of grounds expectations for Valentine's Day. It's the simple thing, so Harley does not really kind of finally realize she doesn't need to go overblown on things. And then we have like the meet cute thing where they mentioned we're doing going back to the framing device. And yeah, basically she references the flashback episode in season 2, and then they just call out like, "Yeah, why are we doing this? Well, we have to pad the special. Oh, right. What are we going to do now? Let's recap Shrek 3. So the king of Far Far Away dies, and then that's I wish you a happy Valentine's Day and get a little kiss, and there's your ending.
Man, imagine if you didn't watch any of the Shrek sequels and you just got spoiled on Shrek 3.
Yeah, the opening you do. The king dies.
It's like if you're trying to watch Sopranos and then you watch She-Hulk and get spoiled on a Sopranos detail.
Yeah, the She-Hulk thing actually could be problematic for people, but I'm going to tell you this though: the Shrek 3 is not good, so I don't think anyone's really missing anything with Shrek 3. So
There.
yeah. All right, well that's it, buddy. We talked about it. So yeah, it's the problematic Valentine's Day special from Harley Quinn. I mean, I'm eager for more Harley Quinn. I just kind of wanted to get back to kind of like a kind of a writing place it was in kind of the earlier seasons, but I don't know. I'm a little mixed on our. Honestly, when I look at it, the way us going through it like this, I think it's the core story is working for me. I'm kind of softening on certain things, uh, as opposed to Bane in this special. But on the flip side, though, it's like I do feel the padding really does stick out. That yeah, we are really padding this thing to meet the runtime. Makes me wonder why did we need the full runtime? If especially if we're just going to ultimately tag it on as like episode like season 3, episode 11, it really feels like if we're going to do a special, I think we really should just have like I think it should naturally come about versus like hey, we will have the core story we want to tell, but we got to stretch it out to be a special so we can advertise it.
I see your point. I think for me, it's like I think the humor of it was just sort of the level I expected for this kind of special, so I just kind of enjoy the ride. I guess upon further rewatches, like certain parts may not hold up as well, but I think for me, I just appreciate just sort of like it, going balls to the wall, and maybe literally at near the end, with the humor. And I'm kind of hoping for the team to do more like holiday themed specials, um, like a Christmas themed one, Halloween themed
Well,
special.
you think if they're going to do this special, they kind of have to, with at least attempt it with the other ones at some point, right?
Hmm. Yeah, no, it and I feel like I could definitely see maybe other specials have Harley and Ivy are the main, and then they'll cycle, and then like instead of being Clayface in the special, it could be like King Shark or Kite Man, whoever. So that it'd be cool to have like different holiday specials with Harley and Ivy being the constant, but like the supporting characters like being different.
Yeah. All right. Well, Rohit, I want to thank you for kind of talking through the the special with me.
Hmm.
Thanks for sacrificing your Valentine's Day and talking about kind of the Valentine's Day of kind of some of our go to characters.
Yeah, there's nothing to sacrifice, unfortunately. So
But
it was time to well worth spent.
cool. Well, I wish everyone out there is watching this, even if it's in the aftermath. Happy Valentine's Day, and thanks for joining. And again, we'll be definitely talking about the new season of Harley Quinn and probably the Kite Man spinoff whenever it drops. And this week we'll be talking about new Ant-Man movie, so a more family friendly kaiju, most likely. Well, again, I don't know how big he's going to get while he's in the quantum realm, but we'll see. That'll do it.
Yep.